what is the number one rule of fat loss that nobody wants to hear? Well, yesterday I was having a conversation with my 83-year-old client. Now, he went in for a DEXA scan about a month and a half ago, and he was a little upset about the results. For 83 years old, he is in phenomenal shape, physically, mentally. I think he is someone that we can all aspire to be like when we're in our 80s. But being that he's a highly motivated, highly driven guy, he was unhappy with the results of his DEXA scan. So I said, let's get to work. Now, fast forward to yesterday. I was training him, and he said, well, since that moment where I don't quite remember how he put it, but it was a little dramatic. He's like, since that moment where I was practically told that I was walking dead, I've lost about 7 pounds. And I could tell, I could see it. And I said, okay, what do you feel has been the most impactful change you've made? Because we had discussions, changed up his home workout routine, gave him some very simple tasks for his diet, broke it down meal by meal, focus on this at every meal. And he said, well, all the info that you gave me, I've definitely worked on that. I've taken that into account. But the biggest thing that I've done is I'm just eating a little bit less every meal. That's it. Not a fancy diet, not a detox, no fancy supplements, no biohacking. And I know people don't want to hear this. People want the trick. People want the hack. People want, it's genetics, it's hormones, it's this. I get it. We want to blame outside sources. We want to blame things that feel more out of our control. And that's normal. But at the end of the day, the number one rule of fat loss, no matter what diet you follow, is still creating a caloric deficit. Every single successful diet works because calories go down. Keto works because you're cutting out carbs, therefore you're cutting out a big chunk of calories. Intermittent fasting works because you're most likely eating less calories. I've seen people gain weight on intermittent fasting. Low carb works because initially you deplete your glycogen, you get a big water weight drop at the start, and then calories also drop. Just different strategies, same underlying mechanism. Okay. Now, the struggle that people find the most frustrating is honestly not because they're being lazy or they're not trying. It's because a lot of times people think they're in a calorie deficit, but they're not. And I know nobody wants to hear that. But at the end of the day, tracking your calories is truly the only way to know for sure. Now, my client is not tracking his calories, but he did the most simple way where he had a pretty solid eating routine. And he said, if my plate looked like this, I just ate like this. And then I cut out snacks in between besides a little handful of mixed nuts in the mid-afternoon. But he keeps it very simple. He keeps it repeatable. So in a way, he is tracking and he is manipulating variables. So yes, you don't need to track. But tracking is powerful because sometimes if you just eat smaller portions, and I had this conversation with him, sometimes you start to eat a little too little. And yeah, it feels great to lose 7 pounds in a month and a half. But you don't want to be under eating so much that it comes back to bite you in the butt. Especially if you have active, optimal health goals. Right? He's doing cardio on his own. He's doing another weight workout on his own. And so that's kind of the next stage for him, is say, okay, let's make sure that we're not eating too little, which I know some of you are rolling your eyes at, oh, must be nice. But that's a different topic for a different day. So when it comes to tracking, when it comes to where do these mysterious calories creep in, here's the 5 biggest ones where I see it happening. Number one, cooking oils. 1 tablespoon of oil, even healthy avocado, olive oil, 1 tablespoon is 120 calories. Now, if you're cooking anything in that, even vegetables, they are absorbing most of that. And if you're pouring out of the normal bottle where you go glug, 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 that could easily be 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons. So 240, 360 calories, boom. Once in a day, if you are on a minor deficit of about 350 calories, you do that one time, boom, now you're at maintenance. If you do that twice a day, boom, now you're in a surplus. So be conscious of those oils. You can still use them, measure them out, count them into your intake, or use a quick burst of cooking spray. Avocado. Number 2, sauces and dressings. Ranch. For my Wisconsin friends, we love ranch. That's not a Wisconsin accent, though. Barbecue sauce, mayo-based dressings, aioli, creamy salad dressings. A normal quick pour, again, 150, 300 calories easily. Right? We'll track the chicken. We'll track the rice. We might even track the vegetables, but then the sauce escapes us. So don't get caught up in like, well, it's just a little sauce. Again, if you're doing a little sauce at 3 meals a day, that could be a difference of 200-300 calories by the end of the day. That adds up. Track it. And if you're like, Mike, this is way too intense for me, I'm just challenging you to track everything you eat for a day. Just to see. Track it all. And normally I'm like, yeah, we don't need to worry about tracking veggies. Just track it. I had a bunch of mixed frozen veggies for lunch yesterday. Just threw them in the pan, cooked them up. Lots of veggies. That alone was 85 calories. Now, do I think people are getting too many calories from eating vegetables? No, not at all. However, just for the sake of the challenge, track it all. Number 3, healthy foods. Just because it's healthy doesn't mean it's low calorie. Nuts, granola, avocados, nut butters, trail mix. Lots of heart healthy fats in there. A handful of nuts can be 400 calories easily. I can eat a whole breakfast bowl of mixed nuts, 1,000 calories easily as a snack. Okay? So track them. Or don't eat them at all. Because again, if we can eat, for some of you, if you can eat a meal's worth of calories in a little serving of nuts, is that worth it? Is that going to fill you up? But it's going to push your calories way over the limit. Number 4, portion creep. This happens to everyone. Okay? Over time, our portions will slowly grow. Our little pre-measured out, when we're really dialed in, portion of pasta goes from this to this to this to this. Our rice gets a little bit more rounded on the top of the scoop. Peanut butter, which frankly, if you're trying to lose weight, you shouldn't even be eating peanut butter. I'm sorry, I love it, but it's just too calorically dense. It's just, in my personal book, it's not worth it. If you want to try to fit it into your numbers, by all means, go for it. But I am not a person that enjoys a small scoop of peanut butter. That's depressing, so I just wouldn't eat it. But our scoop gets a little bit bigger over time. Nobody does this intentionally. This just happens without noticing. And even if portions of any foods grow by 10% over time, 10, 15, 20%, that's when people usually will find success tracking and then start to phase tracking and back up. Because you're loosening the reins, and sometimes that's okay. Maybe I would say we got to have a little buffer region. Like, let's say you lose 20 pounds, then we got to pick a weight where, okay, if my weight consistently gets back up to this, I need to tighten things back up. Like, a little buffer region is okay. It's healthy. Number 5, probably the biggest one, the BLTs, bites, licks, and tastes. Take a bite of your kid's food. Last couple French fries off their plate. A little bit of chips while cooking dinner. a couple of crackers that your kid left out on the counter. They feel insignificant because in the immediate picture they might be, right? 50 calories here, 60 calories there. Do that all day, 300 to 500 calories. Story I love to share is a client I had a long time ago. She was tracking everything, but when we had a conversation about bites, licks, and tastes, and I said, hey, for today, put a gallon Ziploc bag in your purse, keep it on you at all times. Anytime you would just grab something, instead of putting it in your mouth just for the day, put it in that bag. And she actually did it, and she sent me the picture, and the bag was so full of just random bites, licks, and tastes. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm eating so many more calories than I thought. Beautiful. Problem solved. So this is why tracking can be such a helpful learning tool. I don't want people to be passively tracking and just logging food. No, learn from it. Plan ahead. Track your dinner ahead of time. If you know what you're eating, track it ahead of time. Work the rest of your day around it. You don't need to track forever. It teaches awareness. It really helps people understand what portions actually look like, where calories are coming from, and, frankly, where they might be overshooting their intake. So let's go back to the conversation I had yesterday. He didn't change his whole life. He didn't follow a super complex, faddy diet. He simply ate smaller portions. In over 6 weeks, he's down 7 pounds. It wasn't sexy, it wasn't trendy, but it's working. And I'll follow up with this. When he goes and gets his next DEXA scan in July, we'll see where he's at. At the end of the day, whether you want to admit it or not, fat loss comes from creating a caloric deficit. Everything else, all the fad diets, all the fancy buzzwords, all that stuff, those are just different strategies to help you get it done. So next time we're going to cover how to deal with creating a calorie deficit. The emotional side, the physical side. Stay tuned.